Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys. Let me get a sip of my water first. Give you guys a forearm shot. I don't know what's more beautiful, that forearm or that Gibson Les Paul right there. All right, let's talk a little bit about 5x5 again, because everyone's still talking about this power building stuff. Here's the thing. These guys are just making up words. This whole concept of power building isn't even real. Here's what I mean. I am well noted for having produced a 5x5 back in 2012, got published, millions and millions of people have seen the articles, thousands and thousands of people have seen the videos, tens of thousands of people have run it. It was a 5x5 barbell based program with some extra arm work and stuff added in it. All right, Ice Cream Fitness 5x5. Very well run. Tons of guys who are now bodybuilders and who had extremely aesthetic physiques have admitted to running the program early on as novices, 7, 8, 10, 11 years ago. Okay? David Lade is an example. He built his base on that program. When Izzy, who I know and chat with from time to time, when Izzy covered it years ago, people wanted him to review all these powerlifting programs that got sent to him, and he wrote back to people and he covered it. I'm like, I'm going to review it, and he said even in his video, this is a bodybuilding program. This is not a powerlifting program. This is a bodybuilding program. Okay, so people are acting like this is something different or power building, and again, I'm going to explain. The people saying this are clearly kids. They're new to lifting. They don't know anything about the history of lifting, of strength sports, of bodybuilding. The first highly published, like actually published 5x5 program with barbells was by Reg Park, and he ran it in 3 phases. Reg Park at the time in 1960, when this stuff was put out, or I believe it was 1960, he was had been Mr. Universe twice. This was before the Olympia and stuff existed. Bodybuilding was a little different then, but he won the Mr. Universe twice. In the 50s, he put this stuff out in 1960, and it was a 5x5 run for beginners, more intermediates, and then advanced bodybuilders. This stuff was being called bodybuilding before most of the people, before even I was born. That was 1960. I'm 46 years old. I was born in 76. All right, bodybuilders. What the programming looked like. Phase 1 was 5x5 squat, bench, and deadlift with 10 rep, 45-degree back extensions added in. He's like, you can build your base. Okay, and let's be clear there. 1960. He called this a beginner's bodybuilding program for bodybuilders. Phase 2, added some calf raises, some other rowing, all sorts of stuff, right? High rep calf raises. Kept 5x5 squat, bench, and deadlift. The advanced had 5x5 curls with a barbell. I think it even had some power cleans and stuff in it. It was still 5x5 barbell work was the majority of the training, adding some chin-ups and some, and curls and tricep extensions. But it had 5x5 barbell curls, heavy barbell curls. 1960, that was written for, quote, advanced bodybuilders. This is pure historical bodybuilding training. Why are people calling it power building? Why are they pretending it's not for bodybuilders? He was, at the time, had won the highest bodybuilding trophy or competition twice already and wrote this for bodybuilders. In other words, 5x5's entire history is rooted in competitive, old school bodybuilding. So I don't know what these people are calling power building. They're like, what combines powerlifting with body? So you're saying there's heavy maxes added before the 5x5? Because 5x5 is bodybuilding. When you've seen strength coaches, I've even seen Dave Tate quite some time and a long time ago mention, well, yeah, if you do this exercise over here, this is, we do this in powerlifting or maxes, but he's like, well, deadlift, particularly if you take it over to like a traditional bodybuilding 5x5, can really put a lot of size on you. Keep in mind, you guys remember when Dave Tate cut down and quit being a fat powerlifter? He did a cut and he'd look like a hardcore bodybuilder when he cut down, We're not getting what's going on here. Okay. 5x5s have always been bodybuilding. Now we have people who are defining any heavy work with the squat, bench, and deadlift as powerlifting. It's not powerlifting unless you are hitting singles with it. All right, let's be clear on that. Maybe doubles and triples. But what really is powerlifting training is you get as big as you can, and then you maximize your leverages, technique, and neural efficiency. So in other words, if you were to try to, what they're calling powerbuilding, combining powerlifting and bodybuilding as a hybrid, you would have to do maxes on the squat, bench, and deadlift. 1 rep maxes, or you're not really combining powerlifting. But here's the thing. If you just do bodybuilding training and you add the maxes in, that's just called normal powerlifting. That's not a hybrid either, because most world champion powerlifters have always done high rep accessory movements. High rep arm work, all this stuff has been part of high level competitive powerlifting longer than most of you listening have been alive. So if you do bodybuilding training and add heavy maxes, it's not a hybrid, it's just called powerlifting. Granted, there are some stranger powerlifting purists today who try to remove all of that. They're like, we just do the heavy lifts and a little bit of heavy assistance exercises. We don't care about hypertrophy. All right? But that's its own niche. That's its own extreme niche. That is a very extreme niche. These people who are making these arguments don't know shit about training, clearly, or training history. Because some of the guys who are making these arguments, I've investigated and looked at some of their training. These guys don't train like bodybuilders or powerlifters. They train like pussies. The training, the intensities, the volumes, everything, the ranges of motion, they're all bad. I'm not going to name names, but one of the people, I've never seen any of his training stuff before, who's been really big into this whole debate. I went and watched one of his workout videos just to see. Which, by the way, I know what country he's in based upon that. But the guy did nothing, almost nothing but partial reps. Nothing went to the length and range. Tensions were unloaded on a lot of his movements at the top while skipping the bottom completely. Volume. Training biceps before doing his back work, which we know in the lab pre-exhaustion reduces hypertrophy. It's been studied. It's garbage. The only guys who ever got away with that sort of training used tons of drugs. And the guy's not particularly big, and he's not strong. And he's not ripped. At least not when the footage is rolling. Maybe in some Photoshop still shots. These people in this argument don't know shit about training. They really don't. Powerbuilding. It's just called bodybuilding, jackasses. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.